You're still tuned into the morning show right here on E. We're officially into the second hour of the show, and right now it's time for us to get into some spiritual conversations. And joining us is African spiritual advisor Amawele, and we're chatting about being a twin and the spiritual implications and responsibilities that come with that. This is something very interesting. Sia, welcome back to the morning show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's get straight into it. Being a twin, what are some of the spiritual implications with being born a twin?
Okay, so we need to understand that being a twin is difficult, but essentially, spiritually, you are one person, but you are two separate bodies.
Oh.
Which means that in both life and death, there are special rituals and protocols which need to be adhered to.
Sure.
So if you are doing any kind of ritual for iwele, right? Igama iwele is incorrect. It's actually Amakhosi, people of royalty, because they're that special of a gift to umdeni. So when you are doing protocols and rituals for abantu abamawele, you only use one animal. Whether it be umemulo, mhlonyane, imbeleko, any kind of ritual, you do one animal. And that's where people get it confused. They treat Amawele as if they are two separate people, entities, right, spiritually, when they are actually one person, regardless of whether or not the two are, one is male and one is female, or they're both female or they're both male. They are still one spirit.
Okay. So if you're one spirit, like we are one spirit, right? And we're guided by one or many spirits, right? So if as a twin you are one spirit, but just, two separate beings, is the same concept followed with regards to idlos lako and those that guide you? Are you then guided by the same people, or do you then, have different spiritual guides that are walking with you?
So essentially what will happen with Amawele, and kunesizathu sokuthi imimoya ihlukaniswa. Right? If lo muntu that you share in common, the purpose is twofold, right? The higher spiritual purpose is twofold. And idlozi liyabona ukuthi no, we can't achieve the purpose of lemimoya by putting it in one body, bayahlukanisa, and it ends up in two bodies. Right? What they actually used to do previously is they actually used to bury and kill the one twin. Because there was this belief ukuthi if there's a twin in the family, right? One of the parents will pass away. But because they didn't have that understanding that we have now, iwele is actually one spirit, not necessarily two. The triangle or the balance between mama, baba, and ingane is still maintained, so no one will pass away.
Okay, I see. So if then you are the first generation of twins in your family, is there a spiritual significance in that regard?
There's no such thing as first generation of twins.
Sure.
If Amawele ayafika emdeni, that means on either mother or father's side, number one, there are spiritual gifts. Number two, Amawele akhona. Now, in order to understand the history of Amawele in both of your families, you need to look at these particular two twins that have arrived. If the one twin passes away and the other one survives, kusho ukuthi emdenini on either one of your families, that actually was the case. So in order ukuyilapha la, right? So what happens here is a symptom of the root cause in the family.
Sure.
So if the one twin passes away and the other one doesn't, survives, kusho ukuthi you need to go back emdenini, kuvalwa imikhokha of twins passing away.
Sure.
That's why you find there are some families where every generation there'll be twins. But in every generation, one twin passes away and one survives.
Sure.
Kusho ukuthi kunemkhokha of twins passing away and one surviving.
So ivalwa njani imikhokha yakhona? Like what rituals or spiritual practice needs to take place for you to, heal that?
First things first, maunengane eyiwele. When one twin passes away, let's say they pass away at birth. So mother gives birth to both. Ones are stillborn and then the other ones. Or maybe one passes away after a year or 6 months. What you do is both twins actually lie emgodini kanje, next to each other. And then siyakhuluma kahle edlozini and siyabacela, we ask them ukuthi lemimoya ihlukaniswa. So that the one passes away peacefully into the afterlife and the other one remains in the living realm. The reason we do that is because everything in life, right, and in nature wants balance and equilibrium.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
You want to be reunited with your other half. So manje, if you're in the living room, let this twin that's passed away can't come back here. The only way that you can be united is the one in the living room joins lo. So manje lo uzohlukumeza lo and uzombiza ukuthi come join me this side.
Sure.
That's why so many twins and some twins actually with the anxiety and the depression and the suicidal thoughts because yilelwele leli, right? Elihlukumeza leli eliphilayo.
Okay.
So in the event that didn't happen, what we first need to do is kumele sigeze the one that is alive.
Okay.
Siyabahlukanisa manje.
Okay.
So this one's peacefully here, this one's peacefully here. Okay? Once sesgezile the one that's alive, this twin uzodinga igama lakhe nengubo yakhe.
Sure.
So now the mistake people do is they say, they go to a healer, healer says go buy clothes for babies and everything like that, right?
Sure.
That does nothing. You need to buy imbuzi or a sheep, leyo mbuzi iyanqunywa, and then the skin of the animal is ingubo yengane.
Okay.
That's everybody that passes away udinga ingubo. So when you're having dreams of a family member or a baby or a father or a mother who complains ukuthi they are cold and you see them naked, yingoba bafuna ingubo. Ingubo is isikhumba sesilwane.
Okay.
So once you have done that, right, then there can be peace. And then the one that is alive can be peaceful. And then the twins that come after that are more on the best possible position to survive bobabili.
So if this is something that's known whilst the mom is still pregnant, it's okay, you know, this is the history that has been followed in our family, what then happens? Because abantwana, they haven't been born yet. So how then do you fix that before birth?
How do you fix it before? So first things first is kumele kubiwe ekhaya ukuthi kunamawele that are on the way.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And the reason kuyabikwa ekhaya ukuthi amawele are on the way is if there is anything engaphazamisa the birth or arrival of lamawele, leyo nkulumo izofika before.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
Ngoba amawele kwesinye isikhathi ngithi amawele is pure, right? They're a great gift from idlozi. That's why when amawele noma amakhosi are born badinga umsebenzi wokubonga.
Okay.
That's why amawele ayahlupha because people don't do it anymore. Umsebenzi wokubonga ukuthi ubonga amawele.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Kwesinye isikhathi idlozi lizokutshela ukuthi lamawele that are on the way mabefika hlabani inkomo or isilwane esinje.
Okay.
Or umama uzale if most of the time if a woman's carrying twins kusho ukuthi naye unemimoya.
Sure.
So kwesinye isikhathi le mimoya that she's born with spiritually kungacindezela ingane, the twins.
Okay.
You see, and then the one yaphunyuka.
Sure.
So then mayasho ukuthi okay, umama akalungisa imimoya yakhe if mhlawumbe unemndiki or unemdawe, right? Alungise lokho. And then that will make sure ukuthi ingane or the twins
are still protected
and acindezela ingane. Because isinye isikhathi if umuntu osifazana unamawele and unemndiki, ingane zizocindezela.
Sure.
So kumele kulungiswe lokho. And if you want to understand better with how, and unfortunately, our parents don't understand their birth. So a conversation we'll need to have is, if your mother or father was a twin, and that twin passed away, and azange kulungiswe, kuzoshaya nina as ingane zakhe.
Sure. That's a very interesting conversation that we're having with Amawele. Are you a twin? Do you have a story that you would love to share? Or maybe you have a question for Usia. You're welcome to send through your messages on 072-411-6528. For now, let's take a break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the morning show right here on E. We're joined by African spiritual advisor Amawele. We're talking about being a twin and the spiritual implications that are associated with that. If you have your questions, you can send them through on 072-411-6528. Now, Sia, a lot of the time we are very superstitious, or maybe these are just, things that have been known back in the past that we are just not so familiar with, right? And I think the one thing is that when you have twins, you have to have another child, ukuzalwa. Something in the family. Is that a real thing?
No, you don't have to have another child, ukuzalwa.
Sure.
Anything.
Okay.
Right? You don't have to. Where it comes from is the child that would follow the twin. Kuzomele amuliswe or akhuliswe. So that angacindezela.
Okay.
So if you have twin girls, When you have a boy, lo mfana uyakhuliswa. If you have twin boys, then a girl, le ntombazana uyamuliswa. That's all. You don't have to have any more kids after having twins. Should you decide to do so, that's also perfectly fine.
Okay, and they won't be anything that will happen to the twins or the one that comes after.
Absolutely nothing will happen bad to the twin that comes after or the twins that arrive. The only time where I can say that something will happen to the twin that comes after or the child that comes after twins is if one twin, let's say, the only time that'll happen is if there was an abortion or a miscarriage that was not cleansed, right? Then kwafika ingane. Ngoba isithunzi sale ngane le yokuqala will go on to the children that follow. So if you have an abortion or a miscarriage, man and woman, right? And then you have 2 or 3 children afterwards without cleansing, right? Sure. All 2 or 3 of those children bazodinga ukugezwa because banethunzi elengane yokuqala.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. You've sent through some of your voice notes. Let's take a listen.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Bengicela ukubuza, if you have a twin sikhule kahle, eventually twin lakho siliyakuzonda lifuna ukukubulala, yenzwa yini lento leyo? Ngoba ngikhula ngiyazi ukuthi ama twins they have attachment, but all of a sudden sokumuntu okuhlukumeza umoya wakho anisazwana for many years. What will be the cause and how can that be fixed?
All right, so if you grew up with your twin Nizwana and then later on and there's just really friction, what's happening?
All right. No, that one is simple. Ingoba abazange benza umsebenzi wokubonga. Akubonga amawele.
Okay.
Right? Imbuzi yesifazana neyesilisa. Ukubonga ogogo, ukubonga nabomkhulu.
Okay.
Okay? Bobabili bathelwa ngenyongo to say thank you edlozini, ukwenza umqombothi, and then that spiritual friction will then subside.
All right.
That's why it's a classic case of, and that's another reason why we tell people it's mauna mawele, bonga mawele, because that's what happens. That's actually rise. Some twins actually end up killing another twin. You're like, how can you kill your other half? Yingoba and that's why umsebenzi wokubonga is so important for ingane mawele. And there's different kinds of children that actually, depending on the circumstance and the way in which you're born, that need umsebenzi wokubonga. But number 1 at the top of the list is Amawele twins.
Okay, so umsebenzi wokubonga, is it done the same all round, or do you have to, consult someone or figure out how things were done? Gini.
You see, yes, isiko lasekhaya will always be important.
Sure.
But assuming your family didn't really dabble in African spirituality and you're pioneers at home and nisafunda nisaqala, the generic model or generic way of doing things, how I'm giving you, will start the process of finding out how things were done previously, Mdeni.
Sure.
And I think it's important for me to say this. Everything that I've explained here regarding ingane namawele agwona ukwelapha. It has got nothing to do with Africans healing, right?
Sure.
Yisiko nesintu. You do not need a healer's assistance when it comes to all of this in Khazai.
All right.
Yisiko nesintu that you should be executing by yourselves at home and passing on the knowledge from one person to another.
Sure.
If you don't know, you can go to a healer for advice or guidance, but you should never go there for healing. You don't heal Amawele. There's no healing here that needs to be done. Yisiko nesintu nje, that's it, to fulfill and enhance.
Okay, so it's very clear to understand isiko nesintu nokulapha.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very different things.
All right, perfect. So we have another voice note. Let's take a listen.
Good morning, guys. Good morning show. Ukhuluma noPatrick wakamkhize la eMaritzburg. Ngicela ukubuza ukuthi mangabe uzalwe umbethe. Kwazi kwaba uyathola ukuthi lelo wele lelo limbathele liyulele umuntu wesilisa. Uqhisha kanjani lelo siko? Nokuthi mangabe unamawele ekhaya elesilisa nelesifazane bese liyenda leli lesilisa ingakenzela imbeleko. Uqhishela kanjani imbeleko leli lisele noma nalo leli lingasekho? Ngiyabonga.
Okay, so there's 2 questions there. The first one being, what do you do when you find out ukuthi uzala wembethe?
Sure.
So there's a phenomenon known as the vanishing twin syndrome, where there's 2 twins and then the one kind of sort of passes away, but doesn't really pass away, but the cells kind of go into the mother as well as this twin.
Sure.
Ukuzalwa wembethe.
Sure.
And that happens more often than not, and it's very tricky to pick up when someone's an adult. Okay? So a lot of young people, especially women, this vanishing twin that actually came about. So what you do is siyamgeza lo ukuthi samukela umuntu that you are born with.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We welcome you as well as the twin that you are born with. Okay? Sithatha igazi inyongo umswane and then siyamgeza ubulele because uzalwe nomuntu.
Sure.
After that, because you're the one that's alive, sikwenzela umsebenzi wokubonga.
Okay.
So the necessity for umsebenzi wokubonga is there, regardless of whether the twin survives or doesn't survive. So what people tend to do with the mistake of twins is, and this goes on to his second question about the one twin passing away, is they forget that what they'll do is they'll cleanse for the twin passing away. Either sometimes they cleanse with the chicken, which is way too small of an animal.
Sure.
Should be a four-legged animal. Or they'll stop at the cleansing and they won't do umsebenzi wokubonga.
Okay.
So you need to cleanse and do umsebenzi wokubonga if both twins are alive or if the one twin is late. But obviously if the one twin is late, senyaphahla-ke manje ukuthi bantu abadala senza lo msebenzi lo for the one that's alive, but sicela ngingamshiyi ngaphandle for the other one that passed away.
That passed on.
Exactly, because then what that does is that it separates them. We say thank you for both of them, and it also means it sets up the spiritual foundation for the twins to come in the family so that that cycle does not repeat itself.
All right, that makes perfect sense. I wish we could continue, but we've unfortunately run out of time. That was African spiritual advisor Amawele with us right here on TMS. We're taking a break right now. Stay with us.